apologize for the quality of the audio dub. I'm doing this on my phone because I've had to relocate half of my computer system upstairs because of a new addition to the house. Recently, we lost two of our three companions, Coco from old age and JJ from a stroke, both within weeks of each other. We were devastated. But then a small miracle happened. A young puppy named Jenny. This is why I'm upstairs and not downstairs. Puppies need to be watched 24 hours a day. So let's get on with part 2. In part 1, we did an initial inspection, and then we did a slow power-up and found out that the radio had an extreme crackling problem. We suspect that it is silver mica disease in the transformers, and we'll take a look at that in part 2. But first, we need to take the radio apart and check some major components and probably replace the old filter cap. I don't have any 40s or 60s from this old capacitor, but I do have 47s at 500. They're a little bit big, but I think they'll work. I'm going to put them right here. I put hot glue on these to affix them together. And we'll let that cool for a little bit and then get started. Okay, we're going to test it out after replacing the filter capacitors. I'm on the Variac. I'm up to 60 volts. I'm up to 80. Not drawing any current. There's 100. I'm seeing filament voltage. Okay, looks like everything is working. We still have that terrible crackling, which is, I think, the silver mica disease in the cans. But we'll continue on. Okay, this is a 0.0068, and this is a 681, so this is good. I'm going to go ahead and check all of the caps, just as I did this one, and then check the resistors, and I'll be back. Well, typically what I like doing is I like marking each one of the components as I check them. And I went to find this component and couldn't find it. Looking at the leads, I found out that it is a 0.05 microfarad, and they have in here a 0.0068. So going through my stock, I found a 0.047 that I think I'll go ahead and put in here. So let's pull this out and put this in and continue on. Now that we've checked all the components, the next thing to do is to remove the two IF cans, followed by the tuning cap, and clean those up and get rid of that silver mica disease that's in there. So what I need to do is take lots of pictures. I've also marked the pin here with some blue silver paint, and with a 1 and a 2. So let me get those out and we'll start working on the cans. Okay, I've got the two IF cans out. What we need to do is bend these two tabs back and pull this out. So let's do that. Now before I do that, I think I'm going to mark the I'm just going to put a mark there. That way I know which way the can went in. Oh, it looks like we've got a spider nest in there. Down here is the Mica. And you can see this black that's beginning to develop here. One of these wasn't as prominent as the other one, and I believe it's the second can. But we're going to go ahead and pull this out and replace it. Well, the next thing I want to do is take off the tuning cap so that I can clean this area up and clean up the tuning cap. So let's try to get that off. Okay, that is really stiff. Sure, those bearings need to be greased. So let's see if we can clean that up. Okay, I'm going to go up and wash this off. Okay, what we've got here is these two coils. And we've got to remove the mica plates that are underneath of here in order to get rid of this silver mica disease. Now, if I take a look at the two ferrite rods, they look like they're fairly well centered. This radio did work. So in order to figure out what the value of this is, because the schematic doesn't show the value of the capacitors, there are a couple of schools of thought. The first one is to measure the inductance of the coils and mathematically figure out what the capacitance value is for 455. The other is to just put in a 100 picofarad cap in and call it good and adjust the 2 ferrite rods to match. Or the third is to use the coil as it was intended and we're going to inject a 455 signal in here, and we're going to measure on a scope the output. And what we'll do is we will remove the two caps and we will put in variable caps in and then adjust the variable caps for 455 for a peak. So before we get started, let's see what the original frequency is, the tune frequency of this cap. So the first thing I need to do is I need to find out which coil is what here. Okay. This side is one coil, this side is the other coil. So I'm going to turn on my audio generator here. Okay, we are at 455 there. I'm going to go ahead and see. I'm lowering the frequency now. It peaked right there, and I am at 425. And if you take a look at the frequency counter up here, it says 425. So being 425, it's possible that either the coil was misaligned or it's a load from circuits prior to this coil and after this coil. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure the other one the same way, write down both of the values that I'm getting so I can go back if I need to. At the bottom of this IF coil, there's a copper rivet that needs to be taken out. Sometimes I use a drill, but in this case the plastic is so brittle, I'm afraid that either I'm going to break it or melt it. So I'm using the Dremel to slowly cut it out so I can keep the heat down. I don't know if you can see that or not, but you see the black lines in there? Well, it might be easier for me to show you with the mica plate out. It's easy now to see the blackness around the mica sheet. That's what's called silver mica disease. It starts arcing between the two plates, and that's what causes the static. So that fits directly underneath of these two plates here, that sheet, all the way over to the other side. Now what I need to do is I need to cut this off and then put the plastic plate back over and secure it. And I'll probably do that with hot glue. And then we can go ahead and put the trimmer caps on and measure it. So let's get started with that. Okay, now that we have the tabs cut, we're going to go ahead and reinsert this piece of plastic in. Let's get the hot glue in here. I have two trimmer caps here. The value is from 10 to 180 picofarad. Normally on these coils, the value is going to be between 80 and 140, and usually it's going to be about a 10 to 20 picofarad difference. So if one side was 80, the other side would be 100. If one side was 100, the other side would be 120. That's not always the case, but that's kind of a rule of thumb that I've always gone by. So let's solder in these and look at the scope and see what we can come up with. This is the end of part 2. In part 3, we'll go ahead and figure out what values of capacitors that we need. If you found this video useful or entertaining, please subscribe. Give me a thumbs up and don't forget to click on the bell icon to be notified of upcoming videos. Stay safe, stay healthy, and thanks for watching.